Hello and welcome to Power Sales Communication. It's interview time again, Urban.
It's interview time all the time. Good to see you again. It wasn't so long time ago, right? We did the recording, I guess yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days
So
ago. And we
great to
have
be
a
back.
interesting guest today. And let us present Alec Johnson. Hello, Alec.
Hello there. Thanks so
Welcome.
much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. We have known each other for a couple of years, more or less.
Yeah.
And I saw you with your new company, Take One Tech, and I thought that was really interesting. So I've been following you both from distance and closely. So
It's been quite the journey.
yeah, it has. Yeah. So thank you. Uh, could you just give a brief background on before Take One Tech, and then go into what's your purpose with why did you start Take One Tech?
So in short, the reason for Take One Tech started out as essentially a hobby YouTube channel, and it was really a vehicle for me to practice the process of making videos in one take with no edits, because I was trying to make some course content for a completely separate business, and I just found I was my own worst enemy when it came to recording and editing content. So it'd take me days, weeks, or months even to record just a few simple videos because of my own mental limitations, my perfectionism, and things like that. So I was looking for a process that I could use to just simply record a video in the same way that I would do it if I was standing on a stage speaking to people, or sitting at a table next to a friend or colleague to show them how to do something. And so that's when I found the software Ecamm Live, which is essentially live production software that allows you to just hit the record button and do all kinds of things like switching cameras, screen sharing, and things like that. And so that's where Take One Tech started, was for me to just practice that process. Initially setting myself the goal of 100 videos in 100 days. That then expanded up to 365 in a year. And then from that grew an entire sort of consultation business and a training business as well, because whilst I love studying at the University of YouTube as well, there is something to be said for having a clearly sort of structured course. And so I started creating courses around that, and then created what I call the Academy, the Digital Stage Academy, which is, a collection of courses and resources and so on. And essentially now Take One Tech is all about how you can craft your own digital stage, as I call it, your own on-screen presence, much like you're doing right now. You've got your digital stage that you are both on, and it's a great way to give yourself that window into the world, as a way for bringing in clients, engaging with clients, and sharing your knowledge and content. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, what I'm all about.
But this wasn't your background, really. You have been doing a lot of other things before Take One Tech. Could you just briefly, I think it's very interesting, and where you are at the moment.
Okay, sure. So, really long story out, but essentially my background's in engineering, actually aeronautical engineering. But then I moved to Thailand, which is where I am right now. I'm in the northeast of Thailand. I've been here for about 20 years. I actually had an architectural design and construction company here for a decade, the sort of first decade that was here. That was one of the things that I did when I came here, was set that up. Building houses largely for people who are moving here from abroad, wanted to speak to somebody in English and have things built to a Western standard. So that was that business. At some point, through a sort of slightly convoluted path, realized we were building assets for other people rather than our own. So got into real estate investment and did some of that in the UK. And through that, got into other investment opportunities, and found that I had a bit of an aptitude for trading and the sort of mathematical algorithmic trading side of things. So actually, the reason why I was looking for software to build a course was around the algorithmic trading platform that we had been developing at the time. So you couldn't sort of map that out from the time I left university. That was the career path. There was a few little jumps and leaps there, but that's essentially what I was doing before Take One Tech. But as this has grown into a whole thing of its own, then this is like my core focus now, really.
Mm-hmm. And you are starting to using outsourcing resources as well in this company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fell into a trap of I kind of love doing everything. There's no part of the business that I don't like. So I did have that sort of selfish desire to do everything myself, and just reached a point where I realized, I probably need to take on some more people if I want to scale effectively. So yes.
Yeah. Urban, could you let the audience know why we are doing this interview in this time, at this moment? The sales leader.
Yes, we've been online with our company in terms of digital training and hybrid training it's going on for 10 years. And from the time of the pandemic, we were already set to be able to deliver sales training and marketing training and the things that we do on a digital platform. Now it's a matter of just becoming more proficient and more professional, and that's where Alec is coming in. How do we present ourselves, our company, and our product offering in the best light and the best way? And so that's really where I'm interested in, because it's all these things combined that leads to success, right? So can you step us through a little bit about the foundational works, kind of for our listeners and our viewers, in terms of quality?
Absolutely. So really, when the pandemic hit and everybody was sort of forced online, so everybody was doing their businesses online at that point, there was no other option. And it really was amazing to me that in those, effectively 2 years of complete lockdown and, everybody being online, that there wasn't more effort being put into the way people were showing up online. So, when you are on a Zoom call, there is absolutely no question that if you have a group of people all come on a Zoom call at the same time and you've got all the little gallery of windows there, if somebody is standing out, they are immediately sort of putting themselves ahead of the rest of the people in that call. Now, that may be that they're in a gallery and you can sort of differentiate and see that, there's something quite quite special about that person because they're, looking great from a lighting and camera quality and things like that point of view. So if you sort of see that, it immediately stands out. But the same thing goes if you are on a sales call and it's you and somebody else. Maybe you've got some competition out there who's also pitching for the same position or the same role or the same whatever it is. If you are having your sales calls and somebody else is having theirs, and you are showing up looking more professional, looking like you've put in some effort into the way that you are appearing on screen, that thing can't help but just carry over into people's impression of you that, well, maybe if you're putting this much effort into your appearance and putting your best foot forward in that way, then that's likely going to be a reflection of the service that you're going to get as well. And it's really about more than just the aesthetic, whether I've got that good lighting and camera. Ultimately, what it's about is communication and communicating your message. So I'm sure everybody at this stage has been on Zoom calls where the other person has got, and I won't say that it's you in particular, as in the viewer here, but let's just say you've seen other people in this situation where they've got the poor quality audio and video, and ultimately what that is it's a barrier for you or them to get their value across, to transmit that. So it is absolutely crucial. Now, certain people have started to step up and improve their audio and lighting and camera and so on. But now there is still further that we can do to do things like we're doing right here, where you can have multiple people on the screen at the same time with Ecamm Live, which is the software that I use and advocate, that can link in with Zoom. So you can have speakers side by side. So if you are a sales team, you can have your whole team on the stage with you at the same time, and then you can also bring in different graphics, different sales materials, perhaps onto the screen with you using live production software. And that again is this whole thing of eliminating friction and improving communication. So we've all been on Zoom calls where somebody says, I've got a document to share. And then there's that dance that goes on where they're trying to click around to find the right piece of information that they want to share. And it's all essentially a break in the flow of the communication. So if you're wanting to get a message across, you want to be able to just bring information on the screen and off the screen as if you were just sort of face to face, pulling up a brochure or whatever it happens to be. So ultimately, it all comes down to just communicating your value in the most effective way possible and with the maximum clarity.
Totally agree. I helped one of my clients to land a multi-million-dollar contract, and it was negotiated online, and where we built a studio in their office, and it was fantastic, big success. I was very pleased.
Yes, it makes all the difference to be able to show up like that, and worthy of the investment as well. When you look at how much it actually costs to build or just to improve all of these things, compared to the cost of a business suit and a nice pair of shoes, actually they're about the same, and yet you can probably win more with the tech side of stuff.
It's about the same. The investment is about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we are talking about gears, the camera equipment and all that, it has gone rapidly towards higher quality for fewer bucks just during this 2 years that we have been working together. So that's an interesting. So I have a lot of old microphones and cameras that I'm not using.
There's experimentation that's gone on along the way, but I guess that's the point about getting guidance is making informed decisions from the outset. But what you've just said there about the camera gear, it always used to be that yes, you wanted to get some sort of DSLR digital camera and then bring that into your computer somehow. But yeah, now there are so many great high quality, relatively low cost cameras that it's certainly not a barrier to entry anymore.
Yeah. Could you give us an example of your camera switch, just so the audience see how you are working?
I mean, I can sort of show you. I guess I don't know how this is going to come out with the cropping, but whoops! And there's the camera. Let me just improve the lighting on that. But so this is my desk, and I've got my these are called Stream Decks. They're essentially effectively a programmable keyboard, so I can use these to switch between different camera angles, switching back to my main scene here. If I had something to share on the screen, again, this might appear cropped because of the shape that I'm in, but I can go over to another.
Yep. We lost the audio. We're back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep. So the thing about it is, though, that you're able to just switch those things with relative ease with the touch of a button. To again, it's this thing of without breaking the flow of a. Ironically, we've just broken the flow of the conversation with my audio, but in general, it's back and forth between those things with relative ease. So that's the point about it all.
And as we are advisor and mentors and coaches to leaders and management teams and so on, what's your advice for them to how could a journey towards this start? What do you think about that?
Again, it doesn't have to be if people see my studio, then it might seem, a lot to take in. First of all, understanding what all of the different things do and all of the equipment, but you really don't need that much to make a start. As we've said, with cameras these days, you can get some relatively low cost cameras, but still have, really good image quality. The main thing to get right from just a visual perspective is the lighting, actually. So having some thoughtful lighting is going to make a world of difference to even just the built-in camera on your computer. Thinking about framing, so making sure that you are sort of framed correctly in the shot, and taking steps like that so that it looks a little bit more professional. But then thinking about using something like Ecamm Live, which is this camera switching software, which I use, and obviously you're using right now as well, you can really start to level up your presentations and production quality of your online meetings. And I do believe that we should all be thinking about our meetings as a production. We were talking about this earlier, but it is a production that we're putting on, because you want to produce all of the content that you're presenting to people in exactly the same way as if you were creating a sales brochure. You would be, putting some thought and effort into that. Well, this is our digital sales brochure essentially. It's just that it's live, and so you can really stand out with something like this.
Yeah, and as just Ecamm is ported to an Apple platform, I have been starting to using Keynote a lot more than before, and you can integrate a Keynote presentation very easily, and we have been doing that for a year now, I think, on our live streams, our weekly live streams. So we have some bullet points.
Yes.
And it's very integrational, if that's the correct word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I call those things immersive presentations, which is where rather than being, a window on one side and then a slide deck on the other, which does have a purpose as well. So sometimes that's great. But if you are bringing on, bullet points or information or things like that, having it so that it's not a case of you're then disappearing into a small corner, as happens. Like if somebody's on a regular Zoom call and they share a PowerPoint or Keynote slide deck, they will just disappear off into the corner, and then actually you lose that level of communication again, because really you want to be still the focus of, in the same case of if you were in a real world situation sitting across a table from somebody, when you start showing them something, you don't go and stand at the back of the room where they can't see you anymore. So still remaining front and center on the screen, but the information is coming on the screen around you, is what I think is a better approach there.
Yeah. I suspect that all three of us are looking at the teleprompter at the moment. Are you doing that?
Absolutely, yes, and that's to be able to have that level of eye contact on a Zoom call is I couldn't imagine living without it now. So yes, it means that you can. Although a teleprompter was designed for prompting with scripts that are rolling up, and the way that they work is you've got a screen, you've got your camera behind the teleprompter device, and then you have a mirror that's, a reflective glass that is at 45 degrees. And so as you look into the camera, you're actually seeing the reflection of the monitor beneath it. So the effect of it is that I'm looking into the camera, but I'm still seeing you or the Zoom participants or whatever. It's actually the thing that I get commented on the most on just regular Zoom calls. People will ask me this question: where are you looking? Because they can't figure out how I'm looking like directly into the lens, and have that eye contact with them when they're kind of having to look down at their the side or whatever. And it gets commented on so frequently. In fact, it got commented on just today in a consultation call. So it happens all the time, and it makes a difference to build that connection with people.
Yeah. And I'm actually practicing doing it with the Stream Deck, because as you have seen during this broadcast, I look around a little bit, since I'm not only on the Stream Deck. But could you just present the Stream Deck like a function, because you are not looking down very often anyway?
Yeah, so I can show you this with this camera here. So first of all, here you see the teleprompter in front of me. So there's what I was talking about, where you've got the screen just down there. My camera is effectively behind that. So there, the camera is just in the darkness there behind it. But I'm looking through into this glass, which is at sort of 45 degrees. So that's where I can sort of look directly down the lens, but still looking into the image. Now down on my desk, then I've got the Stream Decks down here, and this here is where I've got all these different programmed buttons, and all of these different things here represent different scenes. So if I want to switch to the scene which is kind of face on, just my main scene, then if I press that one, you'll see that it switches over to this one. If I press another button, I can switch back to that one that I'm on right now. You'll notice that the sort of color of them changes to indicate which scene I'm on. I have some set up for screen shares. So all of these buttons down here are representing sharing a different portion of my monitor. And so my monitor is over here where I have all my content normally on here, sharing it in a different location. So I can use Stream Deck as well with some shortcuts to sort of move windows around. So if I press this button here, it's going to move this window into a particular position on the screen, just like that. And then I can use one of the scene buttons to share just that portion of the screen. So again, the cropping will be a little bit odd here, but essentially that's now sharing.
Now you are losing audio.
So
Okay.
that's how the screen share is working there. So that the Stream Deck is used for sort of switching between all of those other things. The Stream Deck's great as a general productivity tool as well. So although I bought Stream Deck for camera switching essentially and controlling the recordings, it can do so much more in terms of productivity, setting your layouts of your screens, opening apps, and all of those kind of things. So it has a world of other use cases as well.
Yeah, and you have been working a lot with productivity and efficiency. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm always looking to do that, largely to help help me get over myself. I'm the worst when it comes to friction, so I'm always looking at ways to minimize friction as much as possible. So that if you can come in and just press a button and everything gets set up on your computer ready for you to start work, it's going to be a lot easier for you to actually get into the flow of things. So I'm all about making my life easier in that respect.
Yeah.
It was great to see how you had done the presets for the various scenes. Very, very impressed.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing about it is, so you mentioned before about not looking down. With having those in these certain positions, I don't necessarily have to look down to know that if I want to switch to one camera, I can just sort of reach down and feel where it is. So if I want to switch to this camera over here, I know to just go to this button. Again, my lighting is just off on that one. It's always the same when I do a demo. There we go. But if I want to go back to my main camera, I know that it's at the bottom corner of this Stream Deck, so I can just sort of press down here and it will switch back to that camera. So you do get that muscle memory of knowing where things are and being able to switch easily. There is also Stream Deck pedals, so I have 2 of those on the floor, which is essentially 6 buttons. So I can also control things with my feet when I've run out of fingers.
But it looked like you had 3 Stream Decks in front of you.
Yeah, so there's 3 of the Stream Decks on here. So this is the Stream Deck XL, these 2. So this is 32 keys. Then this one has some dials which you can use to adjust different parameters and things like that. But also if I press buttons on here, it changes what's on the other one. So I can press a button on here and it changes all of the buttons on these other devices. So I use this one to control what these other 2 are doing. And then, yeah, as I say, down on the floor, there's also 2 pedals, which are effectively another 6 buttons. So that's how those work.
So in your business delivering now, how often are you live streaming in some way during a normal work week or day?
So at the moment, I do a weekly live stream to YouTube. I also do in the Digital Stage Academy, which is Take One Tech's the company, but a lot of the sort of properties, if you like, are coming under the brand name of Digital Stage. So Digital Stage Academy, which obviously you're a member, Henrik. So we have our office hour sessions twice a week in there. So that is done using all of this technology, but just in Zoom. So it's kind of a Zoom meeting, but we're able to have that, share information and share content and deliver things that way. Then there are also other like workshops and presentations that are in closed groups. But then, I've got a consulting part of the business as well. So I have regular consulting clients. So today there's been sort of 6 hours of that. And that's all done using this technology to be able to show people things and see their screen share, but then be able to bring information up. I'm using these tools all of the time in all of that as well. So it's kind of a daily part of my my workflow, really.
Can I ask you a little bit about the the time zone living in Thailand? Where are most of your clients? Are they US based or Europeans or elsewhere?
Actually, quite spread, really. In fact, in every continent, effectively. So, US, Europe, Asia, and Australia. So, apart from the Antarctic, pretty much everywhere. But the time zones work quite well for me because I wake up at 3 o'clock anyway in the morning. So then my sort of 4 or 5 till 7 o'clock is time when I have sessions sometimes, or I work on my own things. And then I have my school run, sort of 7 till 9, and then I have 9 till 2, and then sometimes in the afternoon as well. So actually, with that spread of time zones, there's usually a slot where people can book time with me, for example. And for the office hours sessions that I do in the academy, I do those at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. On a Thursday. So that's what I'll be doing actually after this. But it means that there's 2 sessions to mean that there's always a session that fits for people in different time zones from with that sort of workflow.
Wow.
Do you think that this is a media or platform to work internally in larger organizations as well? Are there benefits?
Absolutely.
Maybe they are used to Teams or Zoom as a base communication platform.
At the end of the day, it's about communicating the value that you are trying to deliver. Now, whether that is externally to a public audience on YouTube, LinkedIn, or things like that, whether that is to a closed audience like a client or a coaching group or whatever that happens to be, or maybe an educational situation with a class. Or it could be internal. It's all about that speed and efficiency of being able to share content and share it with clarity. So it could absolutely apply to all of those different scenarios, and it would add value to it for sure.
Okay, good. Urban, any business?
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the initiative you're launching now, the digital stage, and what the program is about?
Yes, so there is the Digital Stage Academy, but then there is the Digital Stage Blueprint event, which is coming up next week. And that's really to go into more detail about all the sorts of things that we've talked about today. So it's a 3-day event on November the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And it's split into 3 parts. They'll be about 2 hours long each. And the first one is about discovering the digital stage. So if this concept is new to you, if you're used to just the idea of showing up on a Zoom call and not going much further than that, or maybe even have done something with trying to improve lighting and audio and video and so on Zoom, but still not much further, just know that there is further that you can go. I mean, your great production here is a sort of testament to that. You can still make things look a lot better than just a straight to camera sort of thing or a slide deck or whatever. So that's really the first part, is just delving into really what is possible, because I find so often that people will book a call with me, for example, we're coming with a problem or an idea, not realizing that there's so much more that could be done that they're just simply unaware of. So that's kind of part 1 is all about that. Part 2 is about mastering the digital stage and talking about the sorts of tools and equipment and gear that are the building blocks of it. So things like the Stream Deck, and going into a bit more detail on that, and how you can be thoughtful about the sort of studio that you want to potentially build out. And it doesn't have to be, all of the bells and whistles to begin with. It can be something that's just built up over time, but making sure that you're making informed decisions rather than something that I've certainly been guilty of, getting the gas, the gear acquisition syndrome, and maybe buying a little bit more than you sometimes need. So I'll be addressing that in that second part as well. And then the third part is all about monetizing the digital stage. So we do all have this platform available to us essentially, and whether you are trying to add value to your existing business, using it as an inbound marketing tool, for example, to post to platforms like YouTube or LinkedIn through live video. Maybe you want to build a new business, or you want to add some extra avenue and some extra revenue stream to your business, then I'll be covering those sorts of things. But ultimately, it also comes down to what you were talking about there with internal usage as well. That's all adding to this monetization. So how can you basically, once you have thought about this, once you have invested, how can you get the equipment really working to you and starting to pay you back instead of being a cost item?
That's great.
Right.
And you are starting next week, you said?
That's right. It's next week on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's a free event, so everybody is welcome. And there's you can go to sign up at digitalstageblueprint.com, and there's more information on there about it as well. And if you can't make the live sessions because people are in different time zones, then replays will be available too.
Yeah, and we will post the link in our comments down below in this channel, so it will be easy to find. Any final conclusions, Urban?
This is very exciting. And I love the concept of start small, and then
Yes.
you can grow over time in terms of technical complexity and also fanciness in terms of how you use the screen area. Super interesting to listen to you and to be part of this discussion. So I'm just excited about the opportunities here, and as we're already we're not. I think we're left the dabbling stage. We're on our way.
You are doing
to
amazing.
master
You've
the
got
digital.
such a great production going on here.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alec.
Well,
I will see you soon.
indeed, yes, about 25 minutes.
Half an hour, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's been great speaking to you. Great speaking to you both.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.